So you're telling me that the format is changing. Changing. Interesting. Make 30% of you that have not smashed the elephant crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out. More honest content. I actually forgot to take off the Santa hat from the other video, so bear with me, alright? You get Santa Robbie for this video. So we're going to be talking about Rika Sun Avalon to start things off here. And evidently now people are like, oh my gosh, like this deck is a tier 1 competitor. It was, and I think will continue to be, a rogue deck at this point in time. You have to remember, the thing that makes rogue in a unique strategy in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a good pilot can overcome the deck's weaknesses, and the other factors, if people have zero clue how to play against the deck, well, congratulations. And also, this all kind of ties into what we're expecting for the rest of the metagame for the rest of the month, which, you got like a week left and nobody's going to care. But anyway, so Rika Sun Avalon. Oh, Spiritual Water Art Aoi. Let's not forget about that. Hand knowledge is supreme. Why do you think we lost a pointer at the Red Lotus out here? People are looking at a pointer and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. I can't believe. Look, the reason why hand knowledge is so good, and why do you think that we've seen so many Rika Sun Avalon decks out here gaining success up to this event, was because that card helped out a lot. Now, we only saw one copy in the winning list, which is fine, but it was still present. And then, once again, let's call it what it is at this point in time. Most of you have no idea how to play against Sun Avalon. Most of you didn't even know that Sun Avalon was probably a relevant deck in the meta that you had to prepare for, because it's been in the 1.5 to 1.75 sector for so long at this point in time that players literally forgot that Balancer, Sun Avalon, all this field comes out of nowhere, and then con interactions with distributing the opponent's monsters. Yu-Gi-Oh! Players don't know how to play around that. Now that there's been, a spotlight put onto this, now that players, have an idea of what's going on with this, I think this probably isn't going to happen again. I'm really hoping that we can see Rika Sun Avalon kind of grind things out at the World Championship. I think that would be so cool to see, plants come out of, nowhere here, but we already know that, Tierra is not going to be taking on any sort of craziness, in terms of that event. So, Rika Sun Avalon, yes, it is a strong rogue competitor. Yes, people have zero clue how to handle the matchup. And of course, knowledge lacking, good cards, Spiritual Water Art Aoi, Cactus Bouncer. All these little tech choices. It really was, I'm not going to say like a swan event, but it was really nice to see this relatively decent change actually occur. So, did the meta change? A rogue deck had success. It doesn't, change the rest of what else is happening. Now, Dragon Link. This is an interesting one. So, I look like the villain on the super close-up. No, I just look like a scary person. So Dragon Link here, this, I don't know why people are shocked about this. Dragon Link has evolved to the point now that they figured it out. We're at the stage in the format right now where, we're weeks past a ban list. Players have been playtesting the crap out of this deck. And, we got the Magna Hut is a stupid good card. All it took for this to kind of matter was some sort of relevant light and dark monsters in the format. So Magna Hut has a reason to banish something from a graveyard. That's all we needed to see. And guess what? Magna Hut is a stupid good card. There's a reason why the OCG limited, pretty much the entire Bysteel core into Oblivion. Well, we don't, unfortunately, have those same restrictions. And, the walking, talking time bomb of Bysteel searching literally any dragon in the entire game still exists. That's why we're seeing this deck be successful right now, is because all the, all the hand trap large monsters are free real estate, as we're going to call them. We already know how this deck has continued to step up, and it's going to continue to do its thing. I would say more so recently than not, though, that people are so fed up with playing Cached Tierra that at this stage they've tried to branch out into other forms of the deck. And I mean, that's where you're seeing, you know, the different variations of Dragon Link here coming through, where people are testing out these other ideas and like, hey, you know, like, this is kind of cool. You know, like, we can do all of these other little lines of play. You know, like, yeah, Dragon Link doesn't have necessarily the best Cached Tierra matchup. I mean, walking, talking Macrocosmos, all jokes aside, I mean, are pretty toxic when they typically do get involved in the format. But I mean, you do a little bit of a dial back here, you can see, you know, some sort of change actually happening. So Dragon Link, I would actually say at this stage, Dragon Link has got a decent place in the format. And it's crazy to me to say that, because Dragon Link for up until this stage wasn't doing like crazy hot. It was definitely there, but I can confidently say at this stage in the format that this is at tier 1 now. It has had a decent enough showing across the board now that players are kind of looking at this going, you know, like, this is pretty decent. So that's two relatively big pushes in the sector here for change. But as more things change, more things do tend to stay the same. Cached Tierra. So here's the thing with Cached Tierra. Cash money dollar bills. Yeah, I'm so cool for playing this deck. Rise Heart Turbo special. Not a lot has changed with this deck, I'll be honest with you. Most of Cached Tierra's base form that it has going for it is in its consistency. Obviously, we've made the joke that, you know, like, a Rise Heart pass is that nuts, but, you know, until you see movements in the different kaiju sectors out here, or, you know, people pushing kaijus into the format, you know, that a Rise Heart, you know, pass is easy to break in certain points. But the problem's not always a Rise Heart. It can be that Fenrir into the, or the Unicorn into the Fenrir, into the Scareclaw Cached Tierra, because that's almost lethal at that point in time. You know, the deck has a very strong going second. Unload the board, push through an OTK your opponent. And I do wholeheartedly think that because of, you know, that large cluster of just unloading the monsters, that's the more devastating part of the deck. All right, just free unload your monsters. Okay, like, what are you supposed to do at that stage? The answer is not really anything. That's what actually makes Cached Tierra a very scary deck, is not only does the Macrocosmo side of things give the deck a giant control whirlpool of things, the problem is, though, its clapback OTK factor is literally the nuts. So a Rise Heart going to 1 did put the deck in a little bit different of a spot, but I think overall right now that's what you're expecting. It's still going to be the tier 1 monster that it is. So what in the world are we thinking for the rest of what's to come? Because the NAWCQ is this weekend. So here's where I'm thinking with this. I think, for the most part, that I don't know if our side of the game is going to see a shakeup like we did out of Euros with the Rika Sun Avalon thing. I feel like most of the time on our side of the game we are very, very strong meta-wise. I wouldn't be surprised to see Dragon Link maybe take the event, which is kind of wild because, you know, I'm pretty crazy, you know, Cached Tierra oriented here. But I also wouldn't be surprised to see something like Tier Elements kind of come out of nowhere here and actually make a splash. Once again, I mean, if people aren't prepared for X matchup, then they're going to have an incredibly hard time, and you will see things like that actually happen here. Unpreparedness in terms of matchup typically will lead you to a pretty big defeat. That's just strongly how it is. And I think out of the NAWCQ, you will see that. Now, how much of this meta change will hold through till Nexus? I don't personally know. Nexus doesn't seem like a particularly strong set, and I don't see a ban list anytime until like October. But anything is possible. New TCG exclusive archetypes can change anything. Anything is virtually possible at this stage. So we'll have to wait and see. But no matter the result out of the weekend here, I think a lot of people are genuinely going to be surprised by what comes. Whether or not it's just the same boring old meta, or they expected something different, or maybe just, you know, some sort of shift up. We'll have to wait and see. So please, leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.